Hi, welcome back, and here we are at lesson 4. And for today's lesson, I'm going to be dedicating solely to chords this week. The reason for that is that I'm anticipating that over the past few weeks, you've got to grips okay with the finger exercise. It's loosening your fingers up okay, and the E ride hopefully will be improving. We'll leave that for this week. Just keep on improving your speed and timing with the E ride, and hopefully try and get it up to speed with the backing track. But I'm anticipating that the hardest thing you've found over the last few weeks is the chord changes. Probably you're getting to know the shapes by now, hopefully, committing those shapes to memory. But the changes, I'm sort of thinking that the changes you'll be finding still quite slow, and there'll be gaps in the changes. So for today and for the first part of the lesson, we're going to be working on those changes. I'm going to show you some little strategies to help you change from one chord to another. And then in the second half of the lesson, we're going to be learning some new chords called minor chords. So we have two types of chord, major and minor. We'll be looking at minor chords in the second half of the lesson. Okay, so on with those all-important chord changes that I was talking about. And I'm going to be using the same 12-bar sequence that we used in the previous couple of weeks. You should be getting nice and familiar with that now, so you can anticipate those changes as they come, which will make it a little bit easier. Okay, so I'm just going to play through it, and I'm also going to be using the metronome, which I introduced to you last week, just to demonstrate the timing element and how important that timing is. So I'll just play through that again, again keeping the tempo to 60 beats per minute, and here we go. I'm going to demonstrate how important it is to get those changes right in time. So here we go. Now, as you could tell from that, I wasn't breaking stride once with my strumming. My strumming was keeping a constant beat along with the metronome there. Now, that's going to take time and patience and practice to get to that, but that's ultimately what you need to aim for, particularly when we start learning songs and new chords in a few weeks' time. So it's really important to get to that stage. So just little bits of practice, like I've said before, and I'll improve those chords no end. So let's just break some of those changes down then, first of all. Now, the first change after 4 bars was from A to D. Okay, so now what you want to avoid is taking your fingers completely away from the fretboard and starting again with the D shape. We need to find the shortest route from A to the D chord. And how I can do that, my third finger's on the same string that's going to be used on the D chord, so I can just slide that along one fret, and then I'm just going to drop my first and second fingers down a string, finding the shortest route from that A chord to the D. And likewise, after 2 bars of D, we move back to A again, so I can reverse that movement, sliding my third finger back into the second fret and moving my first and second fingers back into position from the A chord. Okay, and then from the A, we change to the E for the last 4 bars. Probably the hardest change of them all, this. So all fingers need to move, and they all need to move simultaneously as well, which again is something that'll come over time. So my first finger's moving back onto the third string, and my second and third are moving up onto the 5th and 4th strings from the E shape there. Okay, so from the E, then I move to D. Now again, my first finger's on the right string. I can slide that into the second fret and drop my second and third into the D position. Once again, then I'm changing from D to A, so the same movement as we said before, sliding my third finger in there and then again from the A to the E, like so, and then finishing back on the A after you've repeated the sequence twice through. So what you could do as a little bit of focus practice, rather than strumming through it all, just as a little bit of focus practice, you could just practice those changes on their own without strumming. Just you know, you can do it sat in front of the TV and just work those changes in there. Muscle memory is a great thing. Eventually that'll kick in and your changes will come naturally. Now it's going to be a gradual process going from this to this. Okay, it's not going to happen overnight. What you need to aim to do, if you noticed, or what you will be doing at the moment, when you change chords, you'll be stopping the strum. And what you're going to try and do is break that habit of stopping the strum. So as you feel your chord changes getting quicker, then you've got to eventually force that change into the bang on the beat there, so that you don't break stride with your strumming. And the way to do that is to keep strumming even though you might not get quite an accurate chord change right on the beat. Okay, so what I mean by that is I can keep strumming here. Okay, so those changes weren't perfect by any means, but they were getting there. And the key thing to that exercise is to not break the strumming, because once you get into the habit of, which you will be at the moment, breaking that strum when you change chords, you've no alternative at present. That's how it is. As you get those changes quicker, then we've got to break that habit of stopping that strumming pattern. And all of a sudden, once you get into that habit, then the changes will come quicker. They'll tighten themselves up, and you've cracked it. You've got the changes good, and that's how you work your way up to stopping for each chord change, up to getting those changes nice and tight and accurate. And just one more thing to say about those three chords: the A, the D, and the E. Don't be frightened to experiment with the different changes, different sequences. You don't have to stick to that 12-bar chord progression. That's just to give you a good example of how songs are put together and arranged. We're going to be using those chords in a song in a couple of weeks' time, so you'll see those chords used in a real song format. Again, using the metronome, you can set it to whatever tempo you're comfortable with, but just free yourself up from that 12-bar progression and just practice some different chord changes. Now, in the second half of the lesson, when we look at the minor chords, I'm going to be looking at a slightly different strumming pattern as well for you to practice and experiment with on the major chords as well. Now, for the second half of the lesson, we're going to be looking at a new set of chords called minor chords. And music in general tends to fall into two categories or two types of key, major and minor. And all you need to know for now is that major keys or major chord sound quite bright and happy. minor chords have a different sound. They can be described as being more sadder or more melancholy. So both sets of chords have two different characteristics to them. And we're going to be looking at the minor chord shapes now, A, D and E minor, and the shapes are denoted by a little M at the side. So if it's just A, D, E, C, G, then they're major chords. The little M at the side of the letter denotes minor. It doesn't mean major, it means minor. Okay, now the first chord we're going to be looking at is an A minor. And the shape of it is identical to an E major shape. It's just, everything's just up a string higher. Okay, so the shape's the same. Now my first finger's going on the second string, first fret. My second finger's going on the fourth string, second fret. And my third finger underneath, just like the E shape there, but just like I said, a string higher. And we're strumming from the fifth string again. I'll strum from the root of the chord, which is the A string there. And that gives me my A minor chord there. Okay, onto the D minor. This is probably the hardest one of the three new ones we're going to be learning. Bit of a stretchy one, this. First finger's going onto the first fret, first string. Second finger's going onto the third string, second fret, and my third finger stretching into the third fret there on the second string. Okay, so first finger, first fret, first string, second finger, second fret, third string, third finger, third fret, second string there. And we're strumming again from the D root chord. Okay, again, don't worry. Sometimes some of the strings aren't ringing as true as you'd like. Again, it'll even itself out as you practice, and the chord will clean itself up as you go. That's a tricky one. That'll take a little bit of working in there. Last one of the three is an E minor. Okay, which is just like the E major without your first finger on. So we're going to use second and third for this. All right, second and third. So not first and second in this instance. We're going to use your second and third. Second finger up on the fifth string, second fret, and third finger on the underneath on the fourth string, second fret. And that's all 6 strings there. Okay, so A minor, D minor, and E minor. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a slightly different strumming pattern for these three chords. We don't always strum in that regimented, constant up and down rhythm. We can break that rhythm up into mixtures of down strums and up and down strums. And I'm going to demonstrate that with the minor chords. So the 12 bar chord progression that we've done sounds really good at a fast pace. You can speed it up to whatever you're comfortable with. We're going to keep the minor chords, because they tend to sound a bit more sadder. I'm going to keep them nice and slow, a bit more steady. And then the strumming pattern I'm going to use is 2 down strums on the beat, and then an alternate pattern for the second half of the bar. So it's going to be like this: 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Okay, so 2 down strums on the first 2 beats, then down, up on the second 2 beats of the bar. So again, we're counting in fours, and we'll be counting like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Okay, so before you get into practicing the changes, just have a go at that strumming technique. Maybe try it over the E minor chord, because again, it uses all 6 strings, and just get used to that pattern. Repeat the pattern. So when you get to the end of the bar, again, we repeat it back through exactly the same as before. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Okay, then the sequence I'm going to put together then is 2 bars on each chord. So 2 bars on A minor, 2 bars on D minor, and then 2 bars on E minor, and then we finish with 2 bars back on the A minor. So it goes like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 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 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Okay, so even though we haven't covered it at all this week, I still want you to work on the E ride as your practice session for this week. Warming up as usual with the old finger exercise. I think I've said in previous lessons that you should be now developing that over 6 strings. And then back down again, and that, like I said, that's really, really good warm-up. Hopefully getting your E-ride up to speed and trying it with the backing track. But really, you practice. The main focus of today's lesson was on those all-important chord changes and working the changes up to tempo and keeping your strumming all the way through without breaking. That's what we were aiming to do over the coming weeks. And then working on those minor chords and the new strumming pattern. Make sure you accurately get that strumming pattern. So down, 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 up, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and like I said, now we've got a few different strumming patterns going on there. You can experiment. Feel free if you're confident. You can experiment with those over the major chords. You know, experiment with different strumming patterns, see what happens, just make some noise. Sometimes experimenting is all part and parcel of learning as well. Sometimes it'll sound great, sometimes not, so that doesn't matter. Just keep playing. Have a great week. Look forward to seeing you next week.